Hello and welcome to this series where we'll be discussing all things CCaaS and Teams. My name is Tom Hunter and I'm joined today by two subject matter experts, Robert Jones and Dan Lloyd. Guys, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course, I'll go first. So I'm Robert Jones. I work in the public sector new business team, helping organisations who are thinking of using Gamma for their Teams and contact centre deployments.
Fantastic. Thanks, Robert. My name's Dan Lloyd. I'm the Channel Director at Cirrus. Cirrus is a cloud contact center provider that have teamed up with Gamma for the last 5 years. We've had a lot of success in public sector, in central government and local government.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for joining us today. So in this episode, basically what we're going to be looking at is the most common challenges faced by public sector organisations, especially around the Teams and CCaaS element. So very general question to start us off, just to get the juices flowing a little bit. What are the most common issues or challenges that you see facing the public sector around the CCaaS and CCaaS platforms?
So I'll jump in there to start off with. There's two elements I always look at when I talk to local government and central government. One is around budget constraints. We all know about that. We all hear it in the news. So we'll probably go into that a bit more detail as we get through. And the other one's the technology. Contact centres for central and local governments didn't start out as a omni-channel, AI-driven customer service enterprise. They were somebody who went into the local office to talk to the local councillor or the local public servants. And then over time, as people's attitudes change, people interact differently, it became a contact centre or somewhere you send letters in, and then email came along, then chat came along, then websites come along. So a lot of the technology that these organisations have is either built up through different tech stacks or is just aged and hasn't really adapted with the change of infrastructure usage. So then they're the two main ones that we talk a lot of council about. And they have a lot of breakout areas as well where we go into different things. But if you see anything different, Rob?
Just touching on what you said, I think budget is hit by multiple suppliers. So they have a different supplier for voice, chat, email, and what that does is there's overlay. So that all those services touch on each other, and then it means it takes up time to manage those platforms, and it eats into the budget. And with all councils, housing associations, they're all having to do more with less, and customer expectations are far greater than they used to be. So, for example, if you contact your local council or your local housing association, you are looking to do it when you are available, because everybody's at work nowadays, and that there isn't a family where both parents aren't working, and always very unusual if they're not both working, and they want to be able to contact whoever when it suits them and across which medium that suits them, whether it's voice, email, or maybe web chat if they're on the go, WhatsApp, for example.
Yeah. So to keep with the theme of budgets and things like that, I think you both made really good points. And public sector are the victims of tighter budgeting constraints, especially over the last couple of years, cost of living, etc., going up and things like that. But would you say with a CCaaS platform that these budgetary constraints potentially have some sort of effect on the quality of contact center that you can get? So, for example, is there a loss in functionality or a loss in usability or quality, for example, if these budgets are tight?
The big one for me that stands out is it costs you far more money to provide poor service than it does to invest in a partner that's going to help provide great service. And that's a common misconception, because no one goes out and buys a contact center every day. And so one, how do you go about that? But two, there is an outlay around setting it up. That's not just the cost of the software, but it's also the cost of the business about taking people outside the organization to plan the project, to go and do the procurement process, to then go and design how you want your new system to look, and then get the training. All that has a cost. So there is a large investment from organizations when they make the decision to change their contact center. But that cost is quickly outweighed when you think about if you do it the wrong way, then the cost becomes astronomical. Even to the point of your high turnover staff. If you've got a poor platform which doesn't operate well, which makes it very difficult for agents to do their job, then they're not going to enjoy what they do. If they don't enjoy what they're doing, they don't try as hard, they don't turn up as often, they go and find other things. So one misconception around budget is not just this is the amount of money you have to run your contact center. It's all that stuff outside of there. By having that poor HR experience that can have a bigger impact on that. So I think it's really important that organizations really consider when they're choosing a contract provider, who their partner is, who they want to work with. I think that's why we have a lot of success within Cirrus and Gamma, is because we look at how we can best service that organization and how we take them on a journey. Most of our contact centers that we started been with us 4, 5, 6 years now, and they continue to grow.
Great point, Dan. I mean, just I'll let you go next, Robert, but just to add to that point, though, so basically what you're saying, though, is yes, it's all well and good thinking of ultimately the end customer, so the people who will ultimately be consuming that contact center in a way like someone phoning into like a local authority to find out bin collection, etc. It's about them primarily, but also the actual agents who are using the platform's experience that you need to take into account. Because, like you say, I'd imagine other than staff turnover, there's plenty of other issues that can go wrong with a contact center. But it's a really good point in terms of budget. I hadn't really thought about it from that side. And is that something you've seen customers that you've sort of dealt with from the sales front anyway? Is that something that they come into contact with quite a lot, as in they're frustrated with what they currently have? They're noticing that the agents that they do have internally are getting really frustrated with the software, and then knock-on effects to their sort of end customers as well.
Yeah, it is agreed. It's really important that you choose a platform, and most importantly, that you choose a partner that will evolve with you now and into the future. What we're seeing with existing customers that are on non-Gamma platforms is that they are basically with a partner currently that cannot take them forward. It's not a futuristic platform, and also that partner isn't guiding them on what a great customer experience is now and in the future. You want to partner with someone that can basically do a building block with you. Basically, you go live with voice, and then you go live with other communication channels as and when you need it. You should never go live with everything in one go, because otherwise you're not going to get the best out of it.
Yeah, I've got a curveball question for you, Bob. Do you think that the procurement process that local government, central government goes through puts them in a difficult position when they choose the vendor? Because they don't get a lot of opportunity to really talk around how they're going to work together. A lot of it in the procurement documentation is around technology, when really most of the vendors out there will provide very similar technology. So what really helps them stand out? And that's a problem.
Agreed, it is a problem. So when a tender is released, sometimes organisations can be responding to it cold. So that means the end customer that has released that tender doesn't know who that organisation is, doesn't know if they're a good fit, and even if they're any good. And it's really important for local councils and housing associations, when they go out to tender, that they pre-engage with suppliers first, because from pre-engaging, that they find out what's available, what they can purchase, what their budget is going to look like, and most importantly, they get a flavour for what that organisation is like, how they operate at the beginning stage in the early sales cycle, but also most importantly, what is it like after you've signed them up and they've delivered the solution. Because it's all very well walking and saying we can deliver X, Y, Z, but actually what is it like in reality when the service is being deployed? What's the aftercare like? What's the account management like? Will you still get access to subject matter experts? And will you continue to tell that customer about the latest developments, not just on your platform, but what's going on in the marketplace, how other organisations are operating, because things evolve and change all the time.
I think that's a really good point as well from both of you. And what I'm getting from that as well is that technology is also moving extremely fast, so that customers want that sort of almost like comfort blanket of a partner who can, like you say, keep them up to date and basically it sounds bad, but hold their hand through the process of actually onboarding this new solution and then going through the training processes so they're totally up to speed.
I don't think it does sound that bad. I think that's exactly what you want from a technology vendor or a partner, because I used to run call centres, the utility sector, and to be honest, I knew a lot about motivating people and statistics and how you run and operate an organisation. What I didn't really understand is the technology, or even understand what was coming next. So, my mind is focused on providing that service and not looking at technology. So, that luckily for me, Cirrus was my talent provider, and I had a great account manager that came in, and we did a lot of things like self-service. We did a lot of automation, we did a lot of identification and verification, the IVR, that really helped my organisation provide a better service. But without their input, I'd have just carried on doing the same thing in the same way and trying to just do things with people rather than look at the technology as well. So you need that, especially with what we've had over the last 5 years, multi-channel to omni-channel. We've had Teams, remote working, hybrid working, and now AI phase one and AI generative AI, which is doing completely different. So, a lot of contact center managers and leaders won't necessarily know what that stuff can do for them. So to conclude, they have the right one.
So, you've made 2 points there. So one around changes in technology and the second one about technologies itself. Now, changes in technology, again, not to say its name, but COVID obviously pushed us all into a state of home working, and now we're out of it. We're into a state of hybrid working as well. So in terms of hybrid working and the contact center environments that public sector customers have, what do you see the challenges around one, part of the technology, and 2, combining it with the hybrid working? Focusing on the hybrid working just now. So if you had agents, for example, what would you expect from a solution in the technology to be able for them to continue with what they do, business as usual?
Hybrid working, you need a solution that's going to allow users to be able to access it anywhere. So it needs to be whether they're working from home in the local office, or they're off location working from one of your customer sites. And it's got to be the same experience for that agent, no matter where they're working. They could even be in a coffee shop just down the road because they needed a breather, but still able to take calls, do emails, and respond to web chat. It needs to be the same focus and experience for the customer and the agent.
Yeah, I completely agree, because a contact center agent is an IT expert. So they don't want to put the laptop in a coffee shop and then wonder how they connect to their CRM, but then go home and then have to log in somewhere else. They don't have the skills or maybe the time to do that. So yeah, it has to be wherever they sit down, log in, they just be able to do their job. And that's really important for people to have that ability.
And then for an organisation, it boosts employee engagement because it means that they can work from any location. So most hybrid workers are now working from home Monday and Friday, and then in the office Tuesday to Thursday if you can encourage them in. It gives you that work-life balance, which is really important, especially for young families. And even at the older spectrum, if you've got grandchildren, some people are looking after the grandchildren and are working shorter hours because they can. And accessibility, which we've already covered, is most important. You've got to be able to switch on that laptop in the morning from any location and be able to get straight to work straight away.
I think it'd be interesting to see how the hybrid working evolves over the next few years. I think from talking to a lot of organisations that I do, during COVID is really important. Obviously, everyone stayed at home, so we had to be in that situation where they did work from home and had the same experience as being in the office. And then coming out of there seems to be like 2 different camps. One, I want to be at home, leave me alone, I'm quite happy here. And the other one saying, let me back in, I want to talk to people and I want to be around people. And I think finding the right balance is important. And that's just so you get that right employee engagement, so they don't feel lost being at home, but they also feel like they've been dragged in situations they want to be in. So it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. I don't think anyone can really predict that. But I think what is important is having that flexibility, because in public sector, you may have great staff, but they may be lured into with the private sector contracts and maybe have a higher salary, have better benefits, have different home working and hybrid working offers. So you have to have that available so you can attract the right people in to do that great job.
I think when talking to customers, IT managers and contact center managers, you're right, want to be able to give people the same experience, whether it's public or private sector, because at the end of the day, they're all doing the same job. It's just that they're servicing different people, but the platforms underneath are the same, and they learn from each other. For example, when I go in and see customers, they're asking me what's going on in the private sector so they can steal ideas and ways of working. And it's the same.
Steal ideas?
Maybe that was the wrong phrase.
Incorporate a new way of working.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's interesting how you were saying around how potentially hybrid working could change, but ultimately, if the technology lets you work from wherever, it's not the technology that's going to change hybrid work, and it's going to be just the vision of individual organizations more than anything else. And I think that's a good thing from the technology standpoint. And actually a really good segue into our next point around the actual technology itself. Now, like you say, there's been an evolution in technology since you were obviously in the thick of it, in the trenches, managing contact centers and things like that. There are multiple ways that customers, as in end customers, engage with agents, and also a lot of different preferences in terms of how they want to engage with agents as well. So you've got things like your WhatsApp, your email, chat, text, anything. What sort of challenges do you see coming from that, having all of these basically layers of communication that people can use at their disposal? Do you see any challenges with that? Is it a good thing? What are your thoughts?
It's certainly a great thing because people want to communicate different ways. Rob made a great point around having two working parents. Everyone's got a 9-to-5 job. When do you call your council and find out around what your new council tax payment's going to be? It's very difficult to do that. But if you can just send a WhatsApp, put your phone back in your pocket, go into the office, do your work, check your break. Oh, I've got an answer now. I'm great. That's a fantastic way of doing it. So the technology's there. I think the big challenge for public sector organisations is which ones work for your citizens. Don't overload them and go, you've now got 15 different ways to contact us. Feel free to use all of them because you're just going to get influx of noise. What you want to do is pick the right ones. Voice will be king for a long time. I'm involved in a couple of local forums, North Forum and the Southern Forum, and everyone in the contact centre can't get away from voice. So it's always going to be there. But what you don't want to have is the lots of what's the right word my term for this? A lot of transactional conversations. Maybe information that can be done elsewhere because that's very expensive for organisations to fulfil. So what you're going to do is make sure that's available elsewhere through these different technologies. Yeah, when you're looking at the overall contact center, is if you've got several different methods of communication, how do you monitor that? How do you report on it? How do you track that you're doing the right thing for the customers and the CSAT scores are right in all those areas? Which is where having the right partner, the right tech stack as an omni-channel platform, where no matter which communication level you have, it's reporting the same way, managing the same way, tracked the same way, means that you can make sure you're getting the right efficiencies.
And that touches on having one supplier, one platform for all your communication channels, because all the reporting is in one place. All the history, that the interaction with the end user is in one place. So, for example, if you have a client or customer who's having an ongoing problem and they've contacted you across multiple mediums, it could be voice, it could be email, it could even be web chat, and your agents are armed with all that information in one place, and they can see the history and they can also see the in-depth interaction that has been ongoing with that client. And also, most importantly, the client doesn't have to keep repeating themselves, because that is a real bugbear when you contact someone.
Exactly right. And we'll probably try and avoid the AI term and this one, and maybe talk about that.
No spoilers from there
on another podcast. But yeah, AI will certainly improve all of that. And again, we touch on that as it goes through. But the other big thing that I see happening, certainly in the very short term, so the next 18 months to 3 years, is integration. Integration into CRM, ERP, data lakes. That's where you get a lot of information from. So if your calling your council already knows who you are, that you haven't paid your council tax just yet, and the last time you spoke was around this, and it can do something to get you to an agent faster, then that's going to help improve the service. Or if you can arm agents with more information, so they're not searching through several different tabs on an agent CRM platform, it's just presented in front of them. Again, that's going to make a far better experience both for the agent, but also the citizen as well. So I think that's a big one I see too.
If you're using the platform to identify people, another really important thing for both local councils and housing associations is identifying vulnerable people. And I really think, Dan, we should touch on that because it does come up occasionally.
Definitely. And generally that information is stored in the CRM. And that'll be a flag that's on there. But in order to do that, the agent has to remember to go and check that. And that's where integration is key. As the call comes in or as the web chat comes in, if that's flagged, then that's easily easily supported by the agent, and they can then handle the situation. The other thing that I talk a lot about with different organisations is temporary vulnerability. So it's not necessarily maybe a disability or something like that. Maybe they've broken the leg, or they've had a bereavement in the family. So that can have an impact on how people need to be treated. So again, if you've got the right communications platform where these temporary flags can be put on there, but also identified by the agent quickly, then those temporary vulnerabilities can also be serviced.
Yep.
So could that be picked up by voice sentiment when you're analysing calls?
To a certain extent, yes. Sentiment analysis can be used for that, but also the keyword spotting and using the scorecards within the, sorry, not the scorecards, but using the technology within the analytics platform, that can be picked up as well.
Okay. And it can also then help with customer service improvement for hitting KPIs, couldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of organisations will have a KPI or some kind of metric around how they service vulnerable citizens, because it's such an important topic to make sure everyone gets treated fairly. So, yeah.
And on the wider spectrum, it also helps organisations improve service as a whole if they're looking at voice analytics, because they can actually spot when a service is starting to dip, and it highlights where they need to make improvements, so that service goes back up again.
Yeah,
it's like ongoing training as well. Like you say, if the service does go down and that is flagged on a, like you say, all-encompassing omni-channel system that does report on both customer interactions, agent activity, it's like you said at the very start, with the from the budget perspective. What did you say at the very start again? What was the tagline you had? That's cool. It's cool. The thing that you said, something about
it costs more to provide bad service.
Costs more to provide bad service.
Yeah, I think the analytics piece is interesting because, again, if we talk about the evolution of local government specifically, if you go on a website now, the vast majority of councils have got the same website. I don't know if
the same format.
Format that you can find your bin days, you can find your council tax brand, you can raise an issue with a pothole in the road. All that's kind of automated if you go to the website. So what you're left with inside local councils is a very detailed calls and emotional calls, social welfare, adult and child care. All those are going to be long-handling calls, very complex, need that human emotion, and need to be supported through that. So where you've got analytics, you can make sure, one, that service is being provided, but two, as you mentioned rightly, Tom, training. So how did you handle that call? How could you improve it? How can you make sure that citizen gets the right message to them now?
Yeah. So it is all encompassing, and it is truly omni, where it does tackle the customer's issues, but also on the agent side as well.
Correct.
To ensure that obviously, yes, they're delivering the best service they can, and everyone's happy at the end of the day. And I mean, I guess that's a good way of sort of summarising everything as well. Everything does all move into one, as in you've got to have the correct technology to deal with customers, but also have the technology that's easy enough for agents and anyone to pick up, and also easy to maintain as the integration factor. So everything is all tied together in a neat little package or large package. I don't know, you're the contact center manager. You tell me if it's easy or not. Thank you so much, guys. Rob, Dan, thank you for watching this episode. Join us on the next one where we'll be discussing the importance of integration of teams with the contact center.